Okay, let's take a look at today's agenda in front of us. Does anybody have anything that you need to add to the agenda? Would you like to add to the agenda? I reviewed it already. Okay. We do not have any unfinished business, and today we will be addressing new business discussion and possible action of the first draft of the short-term rental board be number one. And we'll give David an opportunity to get here, discussion and possible action, depending on what we decide about the uh, bylaws, whether or not we move forward with officers today or hold that for the next meeting, and then we'll set the meeting date to have for the next meeting. Um, in deference to the folks who are here who don't have a copy of the draft, I am going to take the time before David gets here to read through it aloud, if you do not mind. It is very short. It's not terribly long. It does have the crux of, I believe, of what we need to have in place to be able to govern our board and set the board up like we need to set it. The Article 1 is name, purpose, and authority. The name of this body shall be, the official name shall be the Gilmer County Short-Term Rental Board, hereinafter referred to as the board. The purpose of the board is to assist in the oversight, administration, and enforcement of the Gilmer County Short-Term Rental Ordinance as codified in Chapter 45 of the Gilmer County Code of Ordinances. The board shall act as an adjudicatory body, ensuring fair, just, and consistent application of the ordinance. The board's authority is derived from and limited by the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners. It shall not have the power to create, amend, or repeal ordinances, but may make recommendations to the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners. The board shall have the authority to adopt its own rules for the transaction of business. And let me reiterate, I am reading a draft. This is what we will be working on today. Memberships and officers, Article 2. The board shall consist of 5 members appointed by the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners. Members should have a demonstrated interest in the community and may include representatives from the short-term rental industry, local citizens, and business owners. Not all members will have a vested interest in short-term rental properties and do not have to be short-term rental property owners. Members shall serve staggered terms of 3 years. As the board is new, 2 members, at the discretion of the board, terms shall be extended to 4 years at the discretion of the board when electing officers. Members of the board shall be residents of Gilmer County at the time of their appointment and remain residents of the county for the duration of their term. No member of the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners may simultaneously serve on the board. Officers. The officers of the board shall be a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. Secretary can be a non-board, non-voting county employee who will be responsible for the transcription and creation of the meeting minutes and meeting agenda. The board shall elect the officers from its members at the first meeting of each calendar year. The chair shall preside over all meetings. The vice chair shall assume the duties of the chair in their absence. Since the board is being established mid-year, the first term of the chair, vice chair, and secretary shall be extended to the end of the first full calendar year. No person elected chair, vice chair, or secretary shall serve for more than 2 consecutive terms in their respective positions. A vacancy on the board shall be filled by appointment of the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners for the remainder of the unexpired term. The short-term rental director is assigned as the liaison for Gilmer County Board of Commissions and to support the business of the board. Meetings. The board shall meet quarterly or more frequently as determined by the chair or a majority vote of the members. All meetings shall be subject to the Georgia Open Meetings Act. All meetings shall be audio recorded, which Ryan is doing for us today. All meetings shall be closed to citizens wishing to speak unless otherwise noted in the agenda. A simple majority of the appointed members shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. The board shall hold a public hearing on any matter it deems necessary or is directed to by the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners. The board, through its appointed secretary, shall keep minutes of its proceedings. Written minutes of the board meeting shall be prepared, approved, and maintained as public records and shall be available for public inspection during normal business hours. Audio recordings of the meetings may, at the discretion of the short-term rental board and by approval of the board, be made available on social media such as YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to skip the discussion part till David gets here. He's here now. He's trying to figure out how to get in. He can walk around the front door like that. The board shall provide interpretations of the STR ordinance to assist county staff and the public. Any formal interpretation shall be submitted to the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners for final approval. The board shall act in an advisory capacity to the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners on matters related to short-term rental policy, including proposed amendments to Chapter 45, enforcement practices, and community impact. And then we get to Article 5, which is enforcement. I didn't read the article numbers out, but this one is specifically geared to enforcement, and this is an amendment and an addendum to prior drafts. So this is, you hadn't had a chance to read this. The board shall, by resolution, recommend to the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners a schedule of fines for each type of violation of the Gilmer County short-term rental ordinance. The fine schedule shall specify a range of monetary fines. The schedule shall provide for escalating penalties for repeat offenses, with the first offense incurring a lesser penalty than a second or subsequent offenses for the same or similar violation. The board shall review and, if necessary, recommend revisions to the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners to the fine schedule on an annual basis or as needed to ensure its effectiveness. Application and enforcement of fines. Upon a finding by the board that a violation of the short-term rental ordinance has occurred, the board shall have the discretion to impose a fine in accordance with the established fine schedule. The board may consider factors such as the nature and severity of the violation, the short-term rental host history of compliance, and any efforts made to remedy the violation when determining the specific penalty to be imposed. Fines levied by the board shall be due and payable within 30 days of the board's decision. Failure to pay a fine by the due date may result in additional penalties, including, but not limited to, the suspension of or revocation of the short-term rental host license and the accrual of interest as provided by law. The board shall provide written notice to any short-term rental host who is found in violation of the ordinance. The notice shall include the nature of the violation, the penalty imposed, and information regarding the right to appeal the decision. Any short-term rental host aggrieved by the decision of the board may appeal the decision in accordance with the procedures outlined in the Gilmer County short-term rental ordinance. And then we go to the budget. Each member of the board shall be paid an amount as determined and set by the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners in the county budget. Compensation is determined annually in the budget. If any member of the board is required to incur any expenses other than visits to short-term rental sites within the county, which are subject matter of public hearings or public meetings, members shall be reimbursed at the same rate or reimbursement as is available to county employees if pre-approved by the chair or designee. These bylaws may be amended by a majority vote of the Gilmer County Board of Commissioners. The board may recommend amendments to these bylaws. Okay, now recall that is a draft, and I do want to just let everyone know that we wrote a first draft, and then everyone added what they thought they would like to see added and addressed in the bylaws, and then we created a composite of everything and sent it to David, and he revised all of our input into this draft that we're looking at today. So we will open the for discussion of what we've just read to see what type of feedback everyone might have. And I think possibly, David, do you think the best way to approach it is just go by section? Everyone okay with the Article 1 name, etc., and move forward? Okay. So let's do that. Let's just go through it one article at a time. Article 1 is the name and purpose and authority. What discussion would there be on the name, purpose, and authority in that section? Anyone? Everybody good with that? All right, we'll move to the membership and officer section. The membership, officers, if you feel like something should be added, something should be removed, something should be edited, revised, or amended, speak up. Membership and officers. I'm good. You good? I gave all my feedback. Right. Like I said, we incorporated all the feedback we got, and then this is, David's draft. Vacancies, everybody good with the officers, vacancies and administrative support being available from county employees should we need it to be a secretary? Okay. Meetings, quarterly or more frequently. Okay, a quorum, simple majority. Public hearings deemed necessary or is directed by the Board of Commissioners. Anybody have any discussion on public hearings? Okay. Minutes and reports. Okay. Now, I wanted David to briefly discuss why we limited and said what we said about public meetings, not public comment, not being made at this particular meeting. It's my intention, when we need it, to have open comment meetings from short-term rental owners, neighbors, maybe, I don't know what the frequency might be, but I think once we get a hotline established for complaints with, through GovOS, that people will have a venue to say what they need and to complain and make their needs known, and we might not have a need for public type of hearings. But if we do, we certainly have the capacity to hold that in another venue. And if you would address why this particular board doesn't need to be hearing open public complaints.
Yeah, the function of the board is really a judicial board. You already hear the issues with respect to citations that have been issued. You're a fact finder, and then you determine whether or not in fact it has been a violation of the ordinance. And if there is a violation of the ordinance, then you decide the imposition of the penalty, namely a fine. And then you're kept abreast on it as to whether or not they continue to follow or respond to that issuance of that citation, fine, that position of fine, and if whatever was being addressed is fixed or cured. So really, that's your purpose, is to hear that. You want to kind of hear it in a setting that you would have in a courtroom, which is a controlled setting. You don't want John Doe or Jane Doe coming up and wishing to speak and bombarding you with their presentation when you haven't even gotten to that on the agenda as well. It's so my recommendation is to treat yourselves as like you're close with ropes to your judicial body, and you'll just have to hear everything and then decide whether or not the case has been made as far as the citation is concerned. If it has, what's the penalty for it? Yeah, I'm not suggesting that you wouldn't have a public comment meeting at some point in time, but I try to set those separate apart, to be honest with you. And that way, you can continue on and then hear what feedback you're getting from the public, if any, and then communicate and share that feedback with the Board of Commissioners.
Got a question. Should one of us as board members have a complaint to file with the board from a short-term rental? Should we recluse ourselves from the case when it comes up to the board?
If you're involved as a witness or as somebody that has initiated that complaint, I would strongly recommend not only do you set aside, but you actually exit the building, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Now, the only reason you would continue to remain in here would be to present any factual evidence. Okay. But if it's something that's non-fact, and it's best if that fact can be established by somebody else than yourself. Because again, board members, y'all hold a special position and a special position of trust amongst your other board members. So it could look as though, be suggestive as to what the outcome should be.
Okay.
Other questions or feedback about that? Yes.
So I didn't understand that GovOS was going to have like a hotline where we were going to be able to, if they had a complaint about whatever cabin rental it may be or whatever's going on, and then we would get the verified facts of this is the address, this is or is not a licensed property.
Yes.
Then I think that takes away my need for like because I was big on wanting to hear the public, you know that, because I felt,
Yeah.
okay, if we're gonna be here and we're gonna be doing this,
Mhm.
I don't want them to say, well, there's no way for us to reach them. They're not reachable, because that's always a big issue of mine, is if I have an issue and I can't get in front of someone to tell them what my problem is, I want to be heard. So as long as there is going to be a source for them to go to, file their complaint, and then the verified complaint is going to come to us, then I feel confident in us handling it that way.
And just to reiterate, indeed, GovOS is going to be setting up a hotline. We have paid for it, and it will be managed and manned 24/7. The procedure is they take the call, they vet, they do all the background history on the property, take the name of the complainant, find the owner's name, and then the complaint comes to us. Now, they will also contact, if it's one of the complaints that needs to be answered within 4 hours, they will contact the owner. So you've got 4 hours to do this.
Any enforcement?
Set it, yeah.
We're working on it. We're working on it. There's a great deal of enforcement built into that application. And we are going to be working on it. Very much so. Okay, does anybody else have any questions about the need for public meetings or leaving out of our agenda on our meetings, public wishing to speak? Because as an adjudicatory board, we're really going to be sitting here each time. We'll have a list. We'll send them out prior, and everybody can.
I think it'd be more productive that way,
Yes.
because if you don't, it turns into he said, she said, and you never get through anything. It's best if you get all your information, look through it, look at both sides,
and then stay. Now, one of the things too that I want you guys to encourage to realize, Commissioner Paris will be indeed, or the commission, not just him, but the whole county commission will be appointing a 5th person. So there'll be 5 of you, and it will be totally up to you. One of the next meetings that we have will be, you will be the one setting the fine structure, with the exception of the fines that are actually stated, and I believe that I only saw one in the ordinance, and that was for not filing your license fee on time. All of the rest of it, this board will be sitting here. There will be a list of violations, and then what your proposed fees will be for violations, and that will be for you. So you might start to get thinking, because my thinking about the whole short-term rental thing is if we do not put teeth behind it, so that people realize, number one, we're serious about what we're doing in Gilmer County, and there are going to be consequences for violations, because it's not fair to the people who are obeying the law to just not really take a hard, not necessarily hard, but a fair and just approach with people who are not abiding by the law. So, it's my 2 cents. Anyway, okay, so the next, so is everyone okay then with the minutes and reports and the meetings not including the opportunity for citizens wishing to speak, as they will have an opportunity to speak? Okay. And then our powers and duties to provide interpretation of the ordinance to county staff and the public, and any formal interpretations being submitted to the Board of Commissioners for their final approval. And that will, of course, include the fine schedule that you arrive at. And then acting as an advisory capacity to the Board of Commissioners on the short-term rental policy. Enforcements, practices, and community impact. Everybody okay with how that reads? Please speak up if you want to amend, change, or edit or revise. Okay. And then, of course, the enforcement piece. We're moving the enforcement to being able to set fines and make recommendations to the commissioners from here by resolution, so that as decisions are being made here, resolutions can be made here, and then the ordinance won't have to be changed every time we want to make a big change to a fine, or something that would not affect the ordinance. And it's a specify a range of monetary fines. Did anyone have anything you would like to add or edit or change or discuss about the enforcement piece that I read? Okay?
Yep.
Jeff? Wayne? Okay. All right, and then the budget piece addresses, you know, how to be compensated, and we will look to the county commissioners to set a per meeting or per diem or some sort of compensation for our meetings and moving forward. Just how the county typically does it. I'm not sure exactly, but you want to address that? I mean, does it just be compensated based like other county boards are compensated?
Yeah, the board of commissioners are established that rate, and y'all only meet once every quarter. That's when we do board meetings a year. Assuming you may have 2 additional meetings or discussions with respect to policy, bylaws, line. Yeah, I don't know what they'll come up with, but you'll just present that in your budget, Mary. I think you're actually probably putting a budget together for presentation, right?
Yes. Yes.
If you wanted to waive
You're
that,
not gonna get rich off of it, I can promise you that.
No, but at least it'll make you feel like you're being a little bit compensated for what you're
I was
doing here.
gonna say, I don't expect,
I don't mind donating. I mean, if you
Yeah,
can
that's
set this
fine.
aside and have a
I was gonna
donation.
say, I'm a salaried county employee anyway, so I'm not.
Yeah, and Jason would be eligible. Donating costs us a little bit of a problem.
Okay.
You can donate it, but you'd have to take it, from a tax perspective as income. And then
Oh.
you can kick back, so.
So probably the best
It's not,
approach is
it's not
just,
gonna be a large amount of money,
No.
I promise you, and it's for the
Like
amount
a
of
Waffle
time
House
that you may have
breakfast.
invested in it. You're working
Figure it.
for probably $3.35 an hour after it all bails out.
so I'm not quitting cabin rentals yet.
no. You won't need to quit your day job.
Stick with it.
I just
Stick
didn't
with
see
it.
no need for
Okay.
any extra expense out of the county.
Right, okay.
Trip to Australia.
Okay. Now also, just to note that the commissioners will be able to amend the bylaws should they see fit to or need to. I don't know that they've ever amended anybody's bylaws too terribly much, but this is a little bit different on the perspective of we have, you know, short-term rentals has the capacity to generate quite a substantial income for the county. Should all the people who currently have rentals, be held accountable to paying their licenses. It's a, you know, maybe Sandy told me the other day it might be as much as $4 million annually. So we do have a great responsibility, and I think we should take it seriously. Okay.
Well, 1 month for me is $30,000. And
Okay.
all of mine are licensed and I pay. So
Yeah.
that's what I got here is to take over there. So that lets people see if we'll get these people licensed and do like the rest of us are doing.
Yes.
There's a lot of money to be paid.
Yeah, and that money really is to be, I've talked to you, Mary, this income, this is a fee.
Yes.
This fee should be used in manner consistent with the reason it's being
Absolutely.
obtained.
Yes.
That's to stay there. Y'all should get some enforcement of officers, stuff to help you out,
Yes.
and then quieten everything down, neighborhood, so to speak, and then everybody can live harmonious, so to speak.
Yes. Yes. And that's the goal. That is the goal, to make sure that what we need in the short-term rental, soon-to-be department, to be self-sustaining and functional and feasible. And that's the goal. So now, as far as moving on, accepting these as written, the bylaws, are there any additions that anyone thinks needs to be made? Any of you think should be made? Does it cover everything? It does state in the draft that we have the capacity to make rules to run this. You have the capacity to make rules that allow you to run the board. Board of Commissioners will be appointing another person to be on the board soon, maybe at one of their more upcoming meetings
It's on
here.
the schedule for the week, this coming Thursday, it's on the schedule.
Okay, good. Now, and I do not know who the person is, so.
I don't need,
So,
I just know it's on schedule.
okay, it's off the schedule. That's good. So we can look forward to that happening too. Okay.
We're gonna wait till elect officers and everything till we get that fifth member on.
Wouldn't you think we should wait to elect officers until the fifth member gets on the board?
So these bylaws have to be adopted formally by the board of commission. So and that's old business, I'll recommend that they adopt them, since y'all are now in agreement, you can send them up, they'll adopt them, they'll appoint that fifth member, and then y'all can reconvene sometime later, and then appoint or nominate your officers at that.
Okay,
And then at that point in time, Mary, you'll come out here with Jim and I, and we'll be
Yes.
more of them serve like Jim does at planning and
Yes.
zoning hearings. So, and
exactly.
the chair will be taking over the conduct of the meeting.
Yes. Correct. Now, we do need some, is there a motion to accept the bylaws? Okay,
Motion
Wayne
to
made,
accept.
Wayne made the motion to accept. Is there a second? Jason seconds. Vote. All in favor? Okay. Okay, so that will enable David to move it on up to the commissioners, and for their approval, they will approve, and then I am suspecting that at the same time, the board member, if not a sooner meeting, I don't think that they possibly might could add it to an agenda, couldn't they, at a meeting?
We should have the discussion under.
David, I didn't see it on the workshop agenda or the regular agenda.
The appointment?
Didn't see it.
Yeah, it's on
It's on the
the,
agenda.
next
Is it?
Thursday.
The one they sent to me, it was on the agenda.
Yeah. It is. It's in
Maybe
some of
I'll-
the last long page of things that they're gonna mention. So I'm thinking that maybe they could add the approval of the bylaws at the same time they make the appointment of whoever else it's gonna be. And then after that, since that would be next Thursday, we could get another notice in after next Thursday into the following Monday's paper. Let's look at the dates and see what those dates are, and then we can meet a week or so after that. What are,
Before we set the next meeting, don't we need to hit the two?
We can't elect.
we can't
well,
elect
bylaws
officers
passed.
today.
We need to-
Yeah, so what we will do is we will,
Is that right, Dave? You need to make a motion.
make a motion to push number 2, discussion of possible election
Yeah,
of
but your
short term.
agenda says.
Yeah, the agenda says
Agenda
possible,
says that, so.
possible action. So we need to make a motion to move number 2 out
I
too.
motion we move number two.
Second.
Okay, so Jason motions and Michelle seconds to move number 2 out to, the appropriate time after the bylaws have been approved by the commission. Thank you, Jason. Watch bylaws do it. Okay, Jason. Okay, so, we'll move to the third action item under new business then, which would be to set the date for the next meeting. Given that next Thursday is the
Next Thursday's the 18th.
18th,
We started on Friday and ran it that week, which will go in Monday's paper with my second. Could meet the week of the 29th, correct?
correct. We could meet then again the week of the 29th, given we advertise in the paper. 22nd, did you say? Yeah, okay, so we advertise the 22nd. It's advertised that week, and then we could meet the week of the 29th. Okay, we have agreed in prior meetings that we will not meet Monday or Tuesday due to prior conflicts by members of the board. So you guys decide, when you would like to meet, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, the week of the 29th, 30th, or
Wednesday the first.
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday.
under unfinished business is number 1 on the next agenda.
Yeah,
I can do,
he should.
Okay,
I can do the first in the afternoon, or I can do the second in the morning or afternoon, whatever works best.
I'm good first in the afternoon.
First,
Maybe 1 o'clock again.
okay.
Monday's rough.
Mondays are rough.
That's a payroll.
That's not the first into Monday, is it?
No, that's a
Okay.
Thursday.
No,
Yeah,
that's
no,
not.
we,
Monday.
you guys had,
But
you
the
guys
first,
had agreed you do not want to meet on Mondays or
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
first of October.
So the first is a Friday?
First, no,
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay, so the first would be a Wednesday, at 1 o'clock. Is this venue still okay for you? This okay?
Is 1 o'clock okay for you?
Yeah, 1 o'clock is perfect.
Is 1 o'clock okay for everyone? Okay. And then,
I'm here anyway.
so it would be at that meeting then that the board would select its officers. Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any additional questions, comments, feedback? All right. Okay.
If we, just one calls us like to complain about stuff, do we just direct them to the website?
Yeah.
and-
Well,
and
for
say,
now,
you know,
direct
say-
them to
Cause you don't wanna
my
be,
number.
you don't wanna be one that somebody's complaining, and then you have to sit here, and then
You
it just,
No, and until the hotline gets operational, at which point we will then direct everyone to go to the hotline, complaint hotline. Refer them to me at 706-536, whatever the county commission line is, 4361. And I'm fielding all calls now. Was. Anything else? Any other general information anyone needs to know?
If y'all are gonna be quarterly, meeting in October, I would suggest you just using those months, October, January, April, and just make that your quarterly meeting.
What's up?
And then if you do it that way, you can put one publication at the beginning of the year at December, or December before the preceding a month, January, and advertise those days out so that, you covered your publication or your advertising. And then you just submit your agenda
oh, okay.
plan off of the website.
Yeah,
So it'll help you there in that respect.
that's good. That is good. Very good. So first week of each quarter.
Yeah, you know, commissioners meet second Thursday of every month. Y'all can pick something like it. Monday and Tuesday's hard. You can pick the first Wednesday of every third month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so y'all be thinking about that for setting up your schedule when you get your officers.
Planning commission meets the third Thursday of each month.
It helps the public too, because they become well aware of one meeting time that day. Now remember, those are your four to discuss and hear the complaints and the citations and stuff. If you had those others that are discussing policy and or bylaws or something like that, or ordinance change recommendations, of course you have to advertise that.
Right.
And like say, once the complaints start coming in, say if there's 20 or 30 complaints,
Mm-hmm.
are we gonna limit that to only hear like so many each time and push the other ones back, or how would, I mean,
That'll
one
be
thing,
for y'all. That'll be for y'all to decide when we see what's
I'm just
gonna
trying to think,
happen.
if you got 20 complaints,
What we may need to do is just kind of see how that goes. And if it looks like it's just, if we're only meeting quarterly and there's 20 or
That's
30,
what I'm
maybe we
saying.
need to meet every other one.
Huh?
Shorten that.
Sure,
Or something.
sure.
But
I don't
think-
wanna
think
sit here and have 30.
I don't see.
That's like,
It's like every 4 hours.
yeah, that's a long time.
My main concern is also is how we're gonna prioritize the complaints. I think there's a big difference in prioritizing
That's true.
trash is getting struck up and down the road versus they've left the water hose on. It's been on for 3 weeks now. And there's 16 guest cars parked in the road every single weekend or whatever it may be that we're talking about. I think when we look at the complaints, it's prioritizing what versus what, but also if we see that when we start meeting, we meet in October and we've got 200 complaints, we clearly know we're going to need to meet again before the quarter, because I don't want the citizens to go and not
Mhm.
be heard for 3 months and the issue continue to be on for 3 months.
Right.
Versus me being, say I'm a management company, I want to know immediately. So if you guys can tell me, or whatever it may be, I think the sooner we can get the complaint addressed, heard, and rectified the situation.
And we're finding now as I guess you might want to call more minor violations or minor violations happen. It's a matter of a phone call from me to say to someone, get out there and clean up the dirty garbage. Major complaints or major issues that are continuing, that people are ignoring, that people not paying host fees, not putting your host license on advertising, things that are a little more significant and out there in the public's eye as being blatant.
Well, I found out from all the short-term rentals around me that I've got contact numbers for about 7 of them. And if I see something that
Exactly.
that is wrong, like a bird gets into the trash,
Mhm.
shatters it across the plate, I just call them,
Mhm.
very politely talk to them, and they go and fix the problem. 99% of the time, they'll fix the problem. If you'll talk to them, nice, politely.
And that was the intention of the good neighbor letters.
Yeah.
So one thing you might consider as a board is putting some teeth in the good neighbor letter violations. As a matter of fact, one of the things that you might consider as a board when you get there is making the good neighbor letters notification not just part of the attestation in the application, but show in the applications the addresses you've sent the good neighbor letters to. So we know that that's who should have received letters, and if they didn't, then we can let the owners know, well, so-and-so made a complaint, they said they didn't get a good neighbor letter. So, that type of thing might need to occur as we move forward with this. Because, interestingly enough, the number one complaint we get right now is, I have not gotten good neighbor letters from all these people around me. That's it, the number one complaint. So, putting teeth putting teeth in them might be, putting teeth in different portions might be something that, this board has the authority from the commissioners to do precisely that. So, okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Do we have, I guess we can adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Jason and Nicole. Okay. Thank you all for coming.